right? Let's take a deep breath. Let's just take a couple big yoga breaths, deep breaths. And I'm going to burn some Palo Santo. Right on. Okay, let's do this, everyone. Renee Ariano, your CAPS Academy instructor. Thank you, Carlos. That was an awesome presentation. I'm here to present psychiatric rehabilitation. This is one of my favorites, and I get super excited. So I did have a couple cups of coffee. I do get excited. I do talk fast when I get excited, right, Carlos? And I move around. I talk with my hands, and it's been in my evaluation that I made people dizzy and given them vertigo. So I do not mind you taking yourself off mute and saying, "Hey, slow down," or repeat. Okay, we're all good. Are we ready? All right. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, perfect. You're all in little boxes. So I can see y'all. Okay, fantastic. All right, Psych Rehab, another also called psychosocial rehabilitation. Okay. We talked about the comfort agreement. I love that. Like I said, I love hearing how you all have been sharing your perspectives, and we can learn from each other. Just remember, cameras on, step up and step back for those who are still finding their voices. All right. And again, for time, out of the respect for time, let me know if you could see this. This is the Joe Ruiz. This is I think the best Willy Wonka. So here we go. We have to get on. We have to get on. We have so much time and so little to do. Strike that. Reverse it. This way, please. Ah, okay, cool. So get it, like, I don't want to have to be gangsta like Joe Ruiz, which I don't know if you'll have the pleasure of meeting. He's the OG, but he likes to cut you off. So, I love talking. I love hearing you all talk, but there's so much we got to get through because this is a fun presentation. All right. So what
That's
is
one thing I
today
couldn't
look?
hear it.
Oh,
Was I
was
supposed
everybody
to
else
hear it?
able to hear? Yeah. Were you able to hear it, Carlos?
It was just really quiet. It was just
Oh,
a
okay.
real
Maybe I
quick.
need to turn it up, my volume. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, there we go. That's probably better. All right. So, what does today look like? We're going to define what psychiatric rehabilitation is, know the difference between the medical model and the psych rehab approach. We're going to evaluate your existing skills and relate them to the psych rehab competencies and practices. And we're going to talk about the stages of change with Prochaska and DeClementi's stages of change model. I like saying that. All right. So let's keep going. So my goal is at the end, okay, at the end of this presentation, my goal is for you all to walk away tonight being able to see psych rehab in action. Okay. And then we're gonna talk about that and see if we did that. All right. So the origins, right, of psych rehab is created by patients for patients. Okay. So it was based in the time when they were dehospitalization. They're like, oh, they need their rights. We can't treat them like that. So let's release them all. But they didn't give them any supports. So what did they do? They got together and created supports for themselves, right? So then my first was the Fountain House in 1948, basically a nonprofit organization dedicated to enhancing mental health, right? To improve their care, just those, another support. And it makes me think, those of you who have read The Road to Recovery, it makes me think of The Village, pretty much. Okay. And so they were inspired the concept of settlement houses, right? Clubhouses. So it's kind of like The Village was. So we work on having work oriented, like we had janitorial, secretarial, and the deli, right? The kitchen, just to give them some practice, right? And then friendly environments. Everyone feels welcome. We want to make sure that they're welcome. We provide skills and training and recreational activities. It gained more popularity in the 70s and 80s as more institutions are closed. And it grew in California. Really, we saw the height of it when Prop 63 in 2004 came in. That's when they were taxing that 1%, and we're getting more money to funnel into these. I don't know why this is playing, to these programs. All right. Just a little spiel right there. All right, so we're going to define what psych rehabilitation is. I dedicate this presentation to Pink Floyd. This was someone I worked with for a very, very long time, and so basically, it's an approach. Okay, it's an approach, and what we do is we help individuals, and we've been talking about this, gain independence, right? Living, independent living, getting back on their feet, socialization, and effective life management skills. They're restored. Okay, think of it like rehabilitation. If you break something, you go and get a physical rehabilitation. You work on it. You do those exercises. You build it up, get it stronger. Boom, you're back in action, right? We place the person, not the illness, at the center of all interventions. Everything we work on with them, it's their choice. The wishes of the person direct all services, right? Through a working partnership. And you know, when things are underlined or highlighted, they're pretty. They mean it's important. Okay. So Mr. Pink Floyd here, met him. I worked with him for about 5 years. Met him in the back of I don't know if I told you I did outreach, 100% outreach. So it took about 17 times for this guy to finally lock in with us, right? And he was staying in a dumpster behind a Burger King. Okay. He was happy as can be because, one, he was safe because they locked it up. Two, the people knew him. He always had food. And three, when he went to work, people give him some money because they see him all the time. And he just had this great smile. How could you not? This guy was awesome. He was my buddy. Okay. To the point where we got him some housing. He decided he wanted to be on some meds. We got him on payee. We worked on his health stuff. We worked on hygiene. Look at those nails. We sure worked on some hygiene, and we're going to go about that on how we could talk with people and help them out with their, without telling them what to do. We talk about doing with rather than doing for. Now we'll go in here. So most important, we want to talk about the difference between the medical model versus a psych rehab approach. And I used to call it a psych rehab model, but it's not a model. It's an approach that we use. So people diagnosed with severe persistent mental illness, they can recover, and they do recover. It does happen. A diagnosis is not someone's destiny. Okay. So here we go. Medical model, we focus on the problem, right? Whereas the psych rehab, we focus on strength base. We pull those strengths out, right? Medical model, they look at your past, they look at your history, they look at the failures, right? We look at all the successes. And I'll tell you, we celebrated everything. I mean, even if it was filling out an application, we'd be like, yay, right? Me being able to hit record, yay, we do it in here as well. All right. So also medication compliance, right? In the medical model, it's like, oh, they're non-compliant. They got to take their meds, right? With us, it's medication alliance. We have conversations about this. We talk about different kind of medications. We educate you, and then ultimately you decide. All right. Persuading, we collaborate. Like I said, partnership, we collaborate. And medical model, they provide the recommendations. Here you go, Lisa Fitzpatrick. Here's your treatment plan. You're going to do this, this, and this. Go pick up that med, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Nah. Okay. The psych rehab approach, we do a partnership. We talk about, all right, Lisa, what do you want to do? What's our next plan? We work together on what goal you want to do, and we do it together. Okay. Even though if I may not agree with it, but we're going to do it together. Okay. Did you have your hand up? Or you're like, are you agreeing with me? Woo, woo.
No, I have a question. I'm gonna try
Yes.
to ask. Okay, we advocate for people and what, like the situation scenario we just did, and they want to get off their medication, but their medication is necessary. Like when they come off their medication, their mental health gets worse. They become disorientated and things like that. What do we do in a situation like that?
Oh, you're getting ahead of the game, mama. You're getting ahead of the game. We're gonna go. No. That's a great question. And I didn't mean no disrespect right there. No, respectfully. No, we're gonna talk about that because I have a story just for that. Okay. So we're gonna go more into it. And just always think partnership, right? It's always their choice, the person that we're working with, even though we may not agree. And I'll tell you some stories with that. Okay. Is that helpful? We good? Okay, cool. All right. So think about it. You go to the doctor, they're standing above you. if you go, you put your little thing on, you sit on the thing, they're above you. So they're the sole expert. We're all experts of our own lives. Lisa, nobody could be the expert of your life except for you. Deanna, you're the expert of your life. Carlos, right? You're the expert. I'm the expert. So the person is the expert. Okay. And that's how the psych rehab approach, that's how we go into this. Okay. Booyah. So what does it look like? Remember we talked about what is it? That my goal is for you to walk away knowing this, be able to see this in practice. We help people set specific goals for themselves, such as getting a job, stable housing, enrolling in school, getting health, dating, right? We're going to help them achieve these goals as peer support specialists through teaching, coaching, planning, and much more. Okay. So this is someone I worked with. Let's call him Kehulu. All right. From the Samoa Islands. Really cool dude. He was, met him and he was homeless for about 10 years. Okay. He, social isolation, depression. He had drug dependence. He had challenges with ADLs, which you'll hear a lot. ADLs like daily activities, right? Like unstable housing, and his health was just really bad, especially when he was doing meth and he had hypertension, okay, high blood pressure. So what we do when we were going to help someone, what we're going to do psych rehab, it could be like engaging in cooking classes at the wellness center, right? To utilizing a pool. For instance, okay, he wanted to work on some exercising, right? He wanted to work some exercising, did not want to take any meds at all. The psychiatrist, Dr. Kane, and I would go meet with him once a month with the doctor, and we just educate him on the meds, okay? Educated him on continuing to do meth and having hypertension, just education, 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 okay? After a while, he was like, hey, feeling a little lonely, feeling a little better. We wound up getting him a house. He got a 2-bedroom apartment and brought his mom and sister with him. Okay, very cool. Then he's like feeling good. He's like, I think I want a girlfriend, right? But as we're talking, I'm getting to know him. He talked about how he loves swimming in the Samoa Islands. He loves swimming. And I was like, holy crap, I'm an ocean swimmer too. Check it out. We have a deal with the Jewish Community Center over here in Long Beach. You want to go swim? They have a pool. Let's go do laps. So once a week, we go to the gym. We go to the community center and we get in the water, both of us together, him in one lane, me in another. And we first started just walking back and forth, right? After a couple of weeks, he's doing a little more. Next thing you know, he's sitting there talking to the old ladies doing their little water aerobics. And I'm like, whoa, when we talk about natural supports, look at this guy, right? Social isolation. I'm doing with, not doing for. And then all of a sudden he gains that natural support just by talking to those ladies. Next thing you know, they're all, oh, it's okay, Hulu. He's doing the aerobics with them. And I swear I will never talk crap about those ladies, the older aerobics, because it was a workout, let me tell you, right? Angie, yeah, right? So I was like, wow, that's really cool. Okay, you know what? He started feeling good. He wanted to talk about diet. He's a big boy. Okay, so what happens? He starts eating better. We start working on nutrition. We start going grocery shopping, talking about on a budget. Amazing what you could buy and what kind of meal you can make at the 99-cent store with that, right? Teaching him how to shop for sure, right? Next thing you know, Dr. Kane and I meet with him, and he's like, hey, do you remember that medication that we were talking about? I think I want to try it. Okay. And that was after about a year, maybe 2 years, because we never pushed it. We just educated him. Then he stopped doing meth for a little bit. Okay. He just started feeling good. And what was it? We pulled the strengths out because he loves swimming. Shoot, I love swimming too. It was awesome. And he was just so happy. And something that I would never think about was the fact that he broke down and cried. And he was like, this is something I would never think about. The man was homeless for 10 years, right? Straight. That the showers in the gym, in the locker room were so big for him. And they had a coconut smelling soap and he just felt so good. And to me, I was like, oh my goodness, that just made me so happy that made him happy. And it's the simple things. Okay. So it just helped him, you find something, find their strength. Let's get them back to what they like to do. He liked swimming. He met some little old ladies. Like, it was awesome. Okay. So do you understand what we're talking about? How a partnership, can you see what I'm talking about? A partnership doing with rather than doing for and pulling out strengths. Okay. Did you understand about the difference between the medical model and the psych rehab approach that I was talking about? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I don't see everybody. I want to see everybody's faces, but you're like a little box. Okay, cool. So I'm going to show you a video clip, a clip of a movie, one of my favorite. And if you haven't seen it yet, and I'm probably aging myself, but Patch Adams. Okay. And I think this is a perfect example of the difference between the medical model and the psych rehab model. Okay. So there we go. Sit back, relax.
You've been accused of practicing medicine without a license. It's a very grave charge, son. Are you aware that it's unlawful to practice medicine without a medical license?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you aware that running a medical clinic without the proper licensing can place both you and the public in a great deal of danger?
Is a home a clinic, sir?
If you are admitting patients and treating them, physical location is irrelevant.
Yes, sir. Will you define treatment for me?
Yes, treatment would be defined as the care of a patient seeking medical attention. Have you been treating patients, Mr. Adams?
Well, sir, I live with several people. They come and go as they please. I offer them whatever help I can.
Mr. Adams, have you or have you not been treating patients at your ranch?
Everyone who comes to the ranch is a patient, yes. And every person who comes to the ranch is also a doctor.
I'm sorry.
Every person who comes to the ranch is in need of some form of physical or mental help. They're patients. But also every person who comes to the ranch is in charge of taking care of someone else. Whether it's cooking for them, cleaning them, or even as simple a task as listening. That makes them doctors. I use that term broadly, gentlemen, but is not a doctor someone who helps someone else? When did the term doctor get treated with such reverence as, oh, right this way, Dr. Smith, or, excuse me, Dr. Scholes, what wonderful foot pads, or, pardon me, Dr. Patterson, but your flatulence has no odor. At what point in history did a doctor become more than a trusted and learned friend who visited and treated the ill? Now, you ask me if I've been practicing medicine. Well, if this means opening your door to those in need, those in pain, caring for them, listening to them, applying a cold cloth until a fever breaks, if this is practicing medicine, if this is treating a patient, then I am guilty as charged, sir.
Did you consider the ramifications of your actions? What if one of your patients had died?
What's wrong with death, sir? What are we so mortally afraid of? Why can't we treat death with a certain amount of humanity and dignity and decency and, God forbid, maybe even humor? Death is not the enemy, gentlemen. If we're going to fight a disease, let's fight one of the most terrible diseases of all, indifference. Now, I've sat in your schools and heard people lecture on transference and professional distance. Transference is inevitable, sir. Every human being has an impact on another. Why don't we want that in a patient-doctor relationship? That's why I've listened to your teachings and I believe they're wrong. A doctor's mission should be not just to prevent death, but also to improve the quality of life. That's why you treat a disease, you win, you lose. You treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. Now here today, this room is full of medical students. Don't let them anesthetize you. Don't let them numb you out to the miracle of life. Always live in awe of the glorious mechanism of the human body. Let that be the focus of your studies and not a quest for grades, which will give you no idea what kind of doctor you will become.
Mr. Adams, please turn and
Don't
address
wait
the
till
board.
you're on the ward to get your humanity back. Start your interviewing skills now. Start talking to strangers. Talk to your friends. Talk to wrong numbers. Talk to everyone.
Mr. Adams.
And cultivate friendships with those amazing people standing in the back of the room. Nurses that can teach you. They've been with people every day. They wade through blood and shit. They have a wealth of knowledge to share with you. And so do the professors you respect. The ones who are not dead from the heart up. Share their compassion. Let that be contagious.
Mr. Adams, I demand that you turn and address the board.
Sir, I want to be a doctor with all my heart. I wanted to become a doctor so I could serve others. And because of that, I've lost everything. But I've also gained everything. I've shared the lives of patients and staff members at the hospital. I've laughed with them. I've cried with them. This is what I want to do with my life. And as God is my witness, no matter what your decision today, sir, I will still become the best damn doctor the world has ever seen. Now, you have the ability to prevent me from graduating. You can keep me from getting the title and the white coat. But you can't control my spirit, gentlemen. You can't keep me from learning. You can't keep me from studying. So you have a choice. You could have me as a professional colleague, passionate, or you could have me as an outspoken outsider, still adamant. Either way, I'll probably still be viewed as a thorn. But I promise you one thing. I am a thorn that will not go away.
Is that all?
I hope not, sir.
We will adjourn briefly.
Thank you. Thank you.
It gets me every time. I hope that was a classic example of the difference between the medical model and the psych rehab approach. It's how we treat people, right? And it's so ironic because Philip Seymour and Robin Williams are in this movie and they both committed suicide. Right. So I just I feel like this clip, if you haven't seen the movie, please watch it. I mean, that's a prime example. Okay. Woof. Who's chopping onions in here, Carlos?
You are, Renee.
Cute. Just kidding. All right. Can you see my screen, everyone? All right. All right. So here we go back to Pink Floyd, baby. Okay. So the goals of psych rehab right here. We want to promote rehabilitation and recovery. Remember, we were talking about breaking an arm, getting that physical, getting it stronger, right? Getting it back to working, improve their quality of life, and minimize hospitalizations. Has anyone heard of respites before? Some of you have. Hacienda of Hope. So respites are places where someone could go if they're deregulated and get regulated, right? It's a peaceful home. There's blue, there's a guitar. It's just chill, fruit on the table. It's a little getaway instead of having to check into the hospital. Okay. So that's a really good way to use those resources if you're connected with them. But here we go. We talked about working with hygiene with this mister, right? You see him, he's so excited with his hands. We just got manicures, actually. We went and got manicures. He budgeted for the manicure. Okay. And it was really cool. So he saved up some money so we could go get manicures. And so we'd meet for breakfast. This guy would be hammered. Okay. I'd have to take him. He suffered from alcoholism. Okay. And so every time we had a doctor's appointment or something, I mean, he would not show up. I couldn't find him. I'd have to drive by the streets and he'd be between two cars drinking a Hurricane, which is malt liquor, if you know what that is. Okay. And be like, hey, or he'd meet me at the Village and he'd be outside like this against the wall. And I'm like, what are you doing? Holding the building up or what? Right. So he was in a room and board. he was on meds. He was med compliant, but see, in order to leave the place, you had to take your meds. So right at 5:30, he took his meds, shoot straight to the liquor store, have his 2 hurricanes, and go to the village and pick up his $4.25 every day. And he was happy as can be with that. Okay. So we're thinking psych rehab. How can we help him to not be so hammered in the morning? Okay. One time, he hit his head on a bus stop. He wound up at the hospital at St. Mary's over there, and I show up, and he just thought it was a miracle I showed up because we got him a bracelet that had my name to call if he got lost. Okay, because he did have him. He always thought it was 1980 something. Okay, but anyway, so oh my gosh, he was so awesome. So I figured on when he was budgeting for his manicure, we also budgeted a food card for the deli at the village. Right. So we would have a scrambled egg, some eggs in the morning before, so he'd go have a couple of drinks. We'd have some eggs, have some breakfast, and then he'd go on for the rest of his days, get his money and go back and get his 2 more hurricanes and his 2 smokes. But as our hands talking about hygiene, okay, you saw the earlier one where his nails were like, oh, right. So instead of saying, yo, go wash your hands, bro, before we eat, it was like I looked at my hands and I said, dang, you know what? My hands are really grody. I'm going to go wash them. You want to come with me? Ooh, that was pretty smooth. So we'd go to the restroom, we'd wash our hands, come back. We did that every day, like every time I met with him. And then one time I forgot. And he's like, hey, we got to go wash our hands. I'm like, oh, shoot. All right, then, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. Okay. And you get to know someone and it was just, oh, he was so fun. We loved listening classic rock. Every time you get in my car, where's the classic rock, man? Okay. And that's how we dug into, those were gifts. We talked about pulling out those strengths and those gifts. It was music with him. Okay. Big Pink Floyd. So characteristics of psych rehab and the rehabilitation, the practice of it. Okay. So services are practical, empirical, and make a real difference. And they're provided in the community, and we address their needs where they're at. Okay. So it's a coordination of services and advocacy. This is me here doing outreach. I don't know if I told you I was with the village and I did outreach, 100% outreach out here, jumping fences, going to Tent City. I told you they called me the ghetto shuffler. So this was right when COVID hit. Okay. So remember, I don't know if y'all remember, everybody went remote. Nurses stayed out in the field. We had the PPE. Everybody was upset because only the nurses got the PPE. Anyway, it was a scary situation, a scary time. Behind me, there's some train tracks. Down a ways, right, is bushes. That's it. And I was meeting a member. We called them members because we didn't call them patients, clients, or anything. We called them members. Okay. So I'm working with a 70-something-year-old little Filipino Spitfire with a mouth like a sailor. Okay. And I'm like, hey, called her name out and she'd come out. You just never guess. And they had it all set up back there. Right. She's sick. It's raining and it's a Friday. She's definitely got COVID and I know it. Okay. So I'd meet with her. I would bring her meds. If you see the med box in my hand, I'd bring her meds, do her blood pressure, do her weight, take all her vitals, get on the phone and do a health visit with the doctor. So talking about providing services there with them. Okay. And here's the thing, talking about ultimately their choice. I knew she was sick and I knew she needed help. Okay. She didn't want to go. She was like 70 something. She had a boyfriend that was like 30, right? And he was Native American guy. I hope I'm saying that right. And he chewed me out and he's like, get the fuck out of here. She doesn't need to go to no hospital. I spit on the bottom of her feet. She's fine. And I'm like, okay, talk about culturally sensitive, right? Talking about just meeting them where they're at. Okay. I respected that. And we talk about self-awareness, self-care, because that was on a Friday. And of course I was thinking about it all weekend. Okay. She was able to get housed. She had it ready to go. All we had to do was go get her ID. And she didn't want to do it. Okay. And that was really hard. I was biting my tongue because it was like, you could get housed right now. You want housing. You know what I'm saying? So it took a while, right? Come back, fast forward. She wound up doing it on her terms. It took a couple of months, but she did wind up getting housing. And she thanked me. She thanked me for not rushing her or pushing her. Okay. And she eventually got on some meds and all that good jazz. And she was doing really well. Okay. So that's what we're talking. It makes a real difference. All right. Guiding principles. So I gave you, in the handout, I gave you a big, like, extensive list of guiding principles. You don't need to know them all, but everything really weaves into this beautiful tapestry of all these competencies. Okay. We work in the present. We don't talk about their past, right? We maximize their involvement in everything, right? We focus on their strengths. We assess them in their normal situations, right? Wherever they're at. This is his home right here. Where's this? Off the 110 freeway somewhere in Harbor City out here. I would park at the mobile station and go walk up the entrance of the freeway, and boom, there he was. All right. Those of you have heard of a warm handoff. All right. Yes. If you don't know what a warm handoff is, this woman here, that's his case manager. Okay. And I'm going to meet him because I'm going to be his nurse. Right. So can you imagine, she built a rapport with them. She's been working with them for like maybe 3-4 years. And here I come along. And if I went there by myself, he's going to be like, who the heck is this strange lady? Okay. So a warm handoff is her introducing me to him. So it's warm. She knows who I am. She's like, hey, she's safe. She's cool. That kind of thing. Okay. I would go there and meet with them. We were working on housing. We were working on doctor's appointments, right? So we do the phone, make appointments. We do housing appointments, all there on a phone, right? He did getting housing. Ooh, San Pedro. Yes. Adri. What's happening?
So I was wondering, so like a lot of the time, so we get referrals, right? And so oftentimes from like hosts or these other things, and some other agencies aren't very involved. So like, how do you but how do you like introduce yourself to somebody if like their agency isn't very involved, they haven't been very helpful, so the client's not used to kind of like that assistance? How do you introduce yourself to someone who's been through homelessness, been through that, like without
right.
anyone accompanying you type thing?
Oh, I did that a lot, actually. Me, check it out. Me, if I see they're wearing Chuck's Converse, I'm like, hey, I like those Converse. I have like 5-6 different pairs. If I see something on their shirt, I mention their shirt. I make conversation, nothing to do with what we're working on, just as a human being, getting to know them, finding out what they like, and boom, you build a rapport, and then we could start talking about some stuff. Is that helpful? Okay. Jody.
Yeah, I always find common denominators to talk about. Like, for example, if I see a mom is having problems in the store with a child, I say, you know what I used to do? I used to let my children help me shop. It becomes, I'm not telling them what to do. It's, I'm helping you with a situation that might help you. So, like, I couldn't reach the bottom shelves. I had my son do it when he was shopping with me. And I would tell them that, and they're like, oh my God, you're a genius. And I'd make it about, because they helped me shopping, they get something in return. That was my kids. And I have told mothers that, and they're like, oh my God, I always give it in the first thing. You're giving it at last. How fantastic. And I said, let my kids, I've given them choices. And out of the 5 choices, this is what they have. And it was like cookies, candy, popsicle, ice cream. And so I've told them this, and they like this. So finding that common denominator is really helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Remember we talked about welcoming, having that safe space. Man, if they're going to feel comfortable with you, all right, let's talk. I hope that's helpful. And I'll keep going along with more stories. And like I said, there's no right or you don't know. We learn as we go, pretty much. You're going to learn as you go. So right here. Okay. So here we go. Working on getting him housed. Did wind up getting him housed, but talking to him, building a rapport, I found out he was a freaking drummer for a one-time wonder band in the 80s. Okay. He loved music, and I'm big with music. I think it was like Cyndi Lauper. I can't remember. No, it wasn't Cyndi Lauper because she wasn't a one-time wonder. If I remember, I'll tell you. But it was really cool. So check it out. You see that pad that he's laying on? Okay. We get them housed. And when we got them housed, we had a housing first program. When we got them housed, when we do house them, we provide them with the bed, the microwave, the little nightstand, everything you're going to need to get in your place. Okay. But realize that when we're like, oh, what do we do? Let's house everybody. That's when they need the most support. Okay. I was not only meeting with them once a week, I was going 2-3 times a week after we got him housed. And the first night that I went and checked on him, do you know he was sleeping on the porch or in the patio outside? Why? Anybody think? Guess. He was living on it. He was used to the freeway. The
That was
noise
his
from
comfort.
yes, from the noise of the freeway. So it was too quiet for him. And he was on that little mat. So we started with putting the mattress out, closer, just little by little until he finally, it took like maybe 2-3 weeks maybe for him to finally get used to it. Okay. Pulling out those strengths we were talking about drumming. We went and looking for some stuff at the Salvation Army. We found a drum set. Boom, boom. Next thing you know, man's all playing drums. It was beautiful, right? So he got to get back in there, and just meeting people, all that good jazz. Unfortunately, I did find like he wasn't feeling very well. And I was like, what's going on with you? And I always had a sense with them because they build such a rapport that you notice they're just not on their baseline. They're not acting the same. And he wound up having some throat cancer. Okay. And he wound up passing away. And like I said, the work I did, we were like a hospice on wheels. Okay. Like Hulu, he did really well. Back to that Hulu, we were talking about doing the swimming. He did wind up relapsing, doing meth, and had a heart attack. Okay. So it was, but what's really cool is like right when, we were able to give them some kind of spiciness before they went, Lisa.
I used to be a foster mom, and I fostered these kids who had been living on the street for like 3 or 4 years. And when they came to live with me, they had plastic bags with all their things in it. And I provided them with a dresser and drawers to put their things in, but they wouldn't take them out the plastic bag because they were never used to being in one place for a long period of time.
Yes.
And they were
Yes.
already packed to move to the next place.
Absolutely. It's real. Thank you for sharing that. There was someone, he didn't want his foot was turning green, dude, like gangrene. And he didn't want to leave. He was at a park because he had a shopping cart. And I didn't understand. This is in the beginning, talking about learning as we go, because I'd be like, oh, just hide your cart in the bush. Let's go. And I tried talking him into that one time. His cart was gone when we came back. It was like, oh, shit. I didn't realize that. That's why he didn't want to go. He didn't want to lose some stuff. You know what I mean? Med management was hard, giving him a week's worth of meds. So injections, I don't know if LOI, those long acting injections, they were awesome. They last for a month, right? Those were awesome if we could get them to want to do that. But anyway, those are some options. So here we go with that. So do you see what I'm saying? A warm handoff, really getting to know that person, right? And it's their wishes when they're ready. We good on time? Okay. All right. So we're going to get into some practice here. Okay. Can I get a reader? A reader. Is that Adri? Adri, did you raise your hand? Sort of, kind of. Was that you?
I can do it.
Gina.
Yeah, she could do it.
All right.
Oh. Okay.
Gina?
I'll go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you.
Okay. What would you do? Bill is a person in your program you are getting to know. He is currently living in a board and care facility, and his source of income is his SSI. He is 32 years of age and a natural born citizen of the US. He states that he has always liked politics and regularly attends city council meetings. He struggles with trying to stay organized in his thoughts and in his life. At times, he also has grand ideas, which may or may not be what you consider realistic. He recently came to you in a period of clarity and indicated that he wants to run for office. He also stated that he doesn't want to bother with small-time stuff and instead wants to run for President of the United States. What would you do?
Now, these are true stories, all right?
Okay.
So we're talking about meeting the person where they're at, right? we may not agree, but we don't want to tell them they can't do nothing. So yes, Angie.
Maybe like start getting resources on how he could do like small stuff, like maybe like city council stuff, just to start off with,
You're good. So this is what we're going to do. I love all the hands. We're going to do a breakout room. Okay. And I put in your, nice tattoo, Sydney. Sorry, I got distracted right there. Okay, I gotta stop my share really quick. Sorry. I just totally called you out. Didn't mean to do that. It's my ADD. All right. So I want to show you. This is the handout I gave you all where your PowerPoint was. All right, so we're going to have 4 rooms and we're going to have 4 situations. We're going to go on break, but when we come back, we're going to do this. Jody, Carla, were you going to touch on the Bill story? Is that where you have your hands up, or do you have something else?
I was actually.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
I would maybe put him in touch where he could maybe volunteer for political and show it. So, for example, the polling stations
hold on. You got to save that for the group. Oh, because you're all going to come back together and report your wonderful ideas. Is that cool? Carla. Same thing, your hand up too.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I would start with something internal, for example.
Yeah. Let's wait. Let's hold those examples.
Sorry.
I asked you a question I didn't quite clear. Sorry, everybody's so good. Carlos is laughing at me. You all are so good. Yes.
I was just wondering, so I actually can't see the handout.
Oh yeah, I have it.
So
okay, let me see.
Okay.
You can't see it. I'm not sharing my screen. Shoot.
Under the under Wednesday, it just has the role of advocacy pre-work and then both the class evaluation.
So where you find it's in there, where you find where the 3-slide handout is, it says an activities packet in the same one. It's not under assignments and it's in handouts. Okay. So here's scenario number 2, and I could drop it in the chat for you. Rachel, she's someone new to your program. She's 27 years old and has been living independently for the last 5 years. Her primary source of income is SSI. Although she does supplement with odd jobs she gets from time to time, she's very articulate and keeps herself and her surroundings neat and clean. She does struggle with delusional thoughts and can be unrealistic in her ideas. You've tried getting her interested in working since she does possess the basic attributes that should make her successful. In your meeting, she's repeatedly indicated that she wants to be an actor. Okay. Elizabeth is someone in your program who's begun to trust you, something she has difficulty doing in the past. She's 22 and recently moved from a group living situation to one where she shares a 2-bedroom apartment with another person from your program. One of the things that attracts you to Elizabeth is her passion for the universe. She will talk about the stars, planets, and all sorts of celestial bodies. She is fond of saying that one day she wants to travel to space. So recently she came to you so excited and practically shouted out that she wants to become an astronaut. Adrienne, did you have something? Okay. You're good. All right. And then Jamal, he's someone in your program with who you've had a pretty good relationship. He's 28 and he lives in a single-room occupancy hotel, for which he pays with a combination of income from part-time work and SSI benefits. The part-time work consists of cleaning up and helping out at the gas station, car mechanic not far from where he lives. He has attended college several times, and although he's had success in math and geography-oriented classes, other subjects just don't interest him, okay? As he does see the point in them. The result is he usually ends up quitting. In your conversations with him lately, he says that he feels like lately he is in a rut and has indicated he would like to learn how to fly, perhaps become an airline pilot. These are all true stories. So what we're going to do is we're going to break out. We're going to take a break right now. Let me see. I'm going to add this into the chat for y'all.
I got you, Renee.
Oh, I got it. Oh, thanks, Carlos. Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do when we come back, we're going to have like 2 Jamals, right? We're going to have just like we did with Carlos's advocacy, 2 Elizabeths, 2 Rachels, and 2 Bills. And what you're going to do is talk amongst yourself, like you were sharing, Carla, Jody, Erdry, and Angie and Gina. Like we're going to get together and you're going to talk about what would you do without telling the person what they can or can't do, right? We want to encourage them, pull out strengths without saying, no, you can't do this. All right. So talk amongst yourselves and come up with, how would you approach this? What would you do in this scenario? And these are real stories. Okay. But right now, what do you think, Carlos? I think we should maybe take a break first. That way we could, everybody good with taking a break a little bit early?
Good idea.
Yeah. All right. All right. I see. We all need to get stretch and
There you go.
all right. All right. Let's start with Bill. Let's see. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna call on room. Oh, how come it says? Uh-oh, sorry, I can't find my. ¿Qué pasó? Ah. Oh, there it is. It was stuck on the bottom. Okay, so Bill, we're gonna do Bill 1, room with Bill 1, Bill A. Let's see. Arabella, Claudia, Lisa, Nayeli, and Stephanie.
Yeah, so for Bill, we were saying that how we would go about handling that situation is first to give him knowledge on what it is that actually entails to become the president, and then also try and work with him to have this understanding or develop this understanding, so that way he can actually begin to come to a conclusion in his mind to decide whether or not that's something that's actually feasible for him, or that's going to be, attainable. And then, yeah, we also said that because he has issues with organization, that's also something to consider, because it is a very detail oriented and organized type of position. And in doing the research with him and having him come to gather this information, it would give him the opportunity to be realistic about what he's trying to do, as opposed to us just shooting down his goals and ambitions. You know what I mean? I would hate to have somebody tell me I couldn't do something if I wanted to do it, but if it's not practical, it's not practical, and so rather than just be the one to bear bad news, I think as a support person, it'd be best if we work with him to come to that conclusion together, and then go from there.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, definitely never want to tell them, oh, no way, dude, no way. All right, Bill 2, Bill B. Like, what do you have different than we have Dexter, Adri, Olivia, and Tana, and Gina?
Well, it's kind of piggying back off what Stephanie had said. You don't want to, you want to encourage them, not discourage them. Yes. And I was saying, because everybody had great valid points, but I was saying, showing him the pros and the cons, and like Olivia had stated, he had problem with organization. So we'll start like, okay, well, to become president, you have to really be organized. You have to set this goal. You have to do this and do that. And when he goes off on wherever he goes off, and then he comes back around to it, we start back with the organization, stay committed to that, to keep him there and focused on that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Redirect him. Just keep meeting him where he's at, right?
Yeah.
Right on. I love that. Thank you, everyone. Yes, we worked with him. Let's go to the education room, got on the internet. Wait, first of all, how old do you have to be president? Oh, so he was like, oh, damn, right? Then we went over what you need. We went over the Long Beach City College classes, right? He's like,
There's only 3 requirements to be president.
Right on. Yes. And so then, therefore, after going through all that, he's like, but what we did do, we started going to city hall meetings, and he started meeting his natural supports there and was able to attend some meetings. Yes, Dexter. So it's, get him into something, but that's what it was. Right. So eventually he figured out, he was like, I don't want to do this. But we went ahead and searched it up. And I'm like, I don't know. What do we need? I'm like, I don't know what it means to be president. Do you? Let's go look on the internet, Jody. Yeah. Thank you.
To add to what they said, which I love, there is a lot of, when it comes to politics, there is a lot of volunteering. I actually volunteered when I was in college back in my 20s doing the polling stations. And,
Yeah.
doing that and getting hands on made me realize some things. So maybe that would be the volunteering, not just the research, but one step further with the volunteering,
Absolutely.
because there is the polls always need it. The
Thank you.
people running, they always take volunteers. So you're
I
giving
appreciate
him that experience firsthand.
Yeah, we're giving them time in the playing field. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate that. I like to say giving them time in the playing field, baby. Right? Real life experience. Dexter, I love that smile. Thank you. Appreciate that. Bills? All right. Rachel A, Deanna, Kelvin, Luce, and Samantha. You're up. What do you got? Let's see. We got Rachel. I'm showing my screen, right? All right. So she wants to be an actress.
Okay, it's gonna be me.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, so
oh no.
Basically, I have mine written down because if not, my mind's gonna wander off somewhere else. So we all basically came to the understanding that we would start with asking her questions. So what kind of actor would you want to be? Would you want to work with like a comedian actress? Would you want to be a romantic actress, action actress? Like, what is it that you would want to be? Engage with them and allow Rachel to understand you're interested in her ideas and come up with a realistic idea on how to get her there into the acting environment. And we could start off with doing an action plan and how we can get her on track to figure out if this was a sensational feeling or she truly has an interest into acting, and support her thought process. And then start off by getting her resources to improv or work her way up so she feels validated and safe about her inspirations. And then see if there are any community or local theaters that do plays, improv, etc., to get her started. And we basically just said, for what we call delusional today, don't let her disability define who she is, because that delusional can also be used like in the acting environment to inspire another person. And then we basically just said that, like, put her in environments with people that also been through the same experiences, or it can even be a mentor like for her. And I basically kind of just used me as an example, being a nail tech. Like, you can have, an acrylic nail tech or a polygel, but it's always about finding where you fit in, and they both come together at the end of it all.
Thank you. Holy cow. Drop the mic. Drop the mic. Woohoo! I love it. That was fantastic. I'm so excited. This gets me excited. Okay, Rachel B, what do you have? What can we add to that? What can we take off? What'd you come up with?
So we didn't really talk about the acting portion too much. As far as like what was just explained. So what we kind of were having a discussion about was more Social Security itself. And kind of like what would I do, right? Just because this is what I work in, so I'm very familiar with the processes, and I get stuff like this all the time from like parolees, like just they're in my face 2 days after they got out of prison. They have this exact sort of like, I want to go work, or I don't know, or how is this going to affect my life if I do get Social Security? I am disabled, but I don't want to be seen as disabled. All kinds of stories. So basically, if this person is coming to me, they're 27, I know that their primary source of income is SSI, they have a disability. Whether they tell me what that disability is or not is, it's up to them, right? And they're trusting me as I'm trying to go through and get them help. They want employment assistance. So at that point, if they're on SSI and they're working part-time, I know she can't work and make more than $1,620 a month, according to 2025 SSDI. So at this point, I would want her to have job protection. In order to get job protection, I would then send her to a connection that I have at the Department of Rehabilitation, because DOOR has job placement protection. as well as educational protection, because you cannot continue to get Social Security if you have satisfactory employment, and that gainful employment, which looks like school and work. At that point, once she oh, sorry, I'm like
no,
making
it's
run
okay.
out of time.
We're okay. Thank you for that. Angie, were you in the same room?
Yeah, I was. I just wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
add that.
No, go ahead, Sydney. Thanks, Sydney. Hold on really quick. Sydney, were you done?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's
Okay.
just at that point you have protection through Department of
I love
Rehabilitation.
that.
It's 9 months and then
Thank
you can
you.
make a decision what you want.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Angie, what did you have?
I was in the same group, and I just wanted to add that we spoke a little bit about like the acting part. I don't think you remembered, but it was just very little piece. But we said that we would help her find places that are hiring that have something to do with acting, like a school or maybe something like a personal assistant to an actor. That way she could kind of like get her foot in the door, you know. And also talk to them about their mental health and see if there's any kind of like accommodations that she may need, and seeing like maybe a certain type of job she might need just to help her with her delusions and stuff like that, and make sure she can work a 9 to 5 job, and seeing if she, you know, just basically that's it.
Love it. Thank you. All right. Thank you. And that was just room one, right? That was one, or that was two, Elizabeth, right? Okay, yeah, second one. All right, yeah. So basically we did not talk about Social Security, right? Because ultimately it's what they want, what they want to do, right? So we focused on her wanting to be an actor. Okay. So that's what we worked with her. So like I said, we pull out strengths. What is it she's interested in to build that rapport? Didn't go really into business. Field trips are always really good. We took her to the Long Beach Playhouse over here, right? Talk about who said volunteer earlier. She wound up volunteering at the Long Beach Playhouse, giving out programs, right? And eventually they wanted to give her a little bit of a job, a few hours a week, which did not affect her Social Security, sweeping up and just taking care of the theater area. So that was helpful. That was really nice, like, linking to resources, but we focused on what her goal is, to pull the strength. Like, we wanted to ignite her passion. See, we're talking about rehabilitating, getting them excited about something. So that's what happened, is she built her natural supports, and then we go from there. Is that cool? That was a real life story. We get it? Is that good? Okay, because she repeatedly indicated she wanted to be an actor. Okay, it wasn't too much focus, and we just throw other stuff in there, just a little bit, throw you off, but that was really good. And yeah, if she wants, that was really good to educate on the Social Security, because a lot of people that I work with right away, when we talk about work, they are scared. They don't want to lose their benefits, right? And we're going to go more into employment prep. Oh, you got mamas, your fur baby, Carlos. But we're going to talk exactly about that, Sydney, which is going to be perfect when we go into employment prep, because we're going to talk about Social Security and all that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right. So let's move on. Who we have, Jamal or Elizabeth? She wants to become an astronaut. All right. Who do we have? Elizabeth A. Andra, Jeffrey, Kylis, and Lizette.
Hello.
Hi there. What'd you do? What did you do with Elizabeth?
Okay, so we definitely don't want to take that passion away from Elizabeth. So as much as we want to educate her on what it takes to be an astronaut, we want to also allow her to experience and know more about planets, the stars. So maybe museums, libraries, education, like just showing her maybe movies of people who have gone through that journey and what it took for them to get there. So she'll still get to kind of experience the knowledge, and at the same time, we want to educate her with the hard work it takes, and yeah, sharing that, or showing her how to or what it takes, pretty much.
Absolutely. Yes, you go through the steps, look at it together, analyze it together, and go, and then they usually figure it out for themselves. Just like when you hear them talk and doing motivational interviewing, you listen, and then they wind up figuring out the scenario themselves from talking. Thank you. All right, Elizabeth 2, Elizabeth B. What do you have? Oh, look at mamas. All right, Elizabeth B.
So my group was so great about creating that warmth and rapport, like really wanting to hear like her stories about her passion for the planets and the universe. And I thought that was very sweet. The coach in me would definitely be like, yes, amazing. I love the way you're pulling in the things you're passionate about with what you want to do. And so the coach in me part would be like, tell me like what value is really showing up for you in becoming an astronaut. Because I don't know, I mean, maybe for her it means certain things, and until I know, I can get a better picture. But let's say she really wants to be an astronaut for the reasons of freedom and this and that. And I think it would be fun just be having a SpaceX here in Long Beach to be able to offer like, yeah, let's go do a tour, let's look online, let's do, however, whatever she wants to do. And for all I know, she could have been a STEM student. I don't know. They're going to probably, I get to talk to someone who's going to share with her the path. And maybe it's a real path for her. And if not, if she starts deciding, well, I'm seeing that my values involve freedom, but there's these other things that now they've told me about this path that I have other openings and I can maybe try that. So just like the world is her oyster, right?
Love it. I love it. Thank you. Yes. And it's always like, feeding into that. Like I was saying, talk about something else. And then when you get that connection, and then we could start talking business, right? In a very creative way. Thank you for doing that. I worked with her for a little bit. I brought her some glow in the dark stars and stuff. So we put it on her ceilings. She totally dug that. And we took a trip to the Griffith Observatory. Okay. So again, her case manager, right, took her again looking at on the internet, checking it out. What do we need? So definitely educating them, encouraging them. Hey, let's get creative and see how we could somewhat satisfy this, right? Yes, I love it. Okay, we all on the same page? We're pretty good. All right, cool. Let's keep going. All right, Jamal, right? He wants to become an airline pilot. He kind of doesn't follow through with everything, but this is, he's in a rut, but he that's one thing that he's interested in. All right, who do we have for Jamal? Carla, Murphy, Francesca, and Jody.
So our group was trying to come up with different scenarios, and we thought educating him, showing him that it takes all these things to become an airline pilot. I had a step further is maybe getting him in touch with, I know they have these programs at Van Nuys Airport, that you can work at the place and start from the bottom, and then he could see if he wanted it. Another idea I had was maybe getting him in touch with if he wants to work for the airlines and going from the bottom up. My dad worked for the airlines, so, and I could show him, or if it was me, I would show him everything he would get as a benefit, and you wouldn't have to finish school. I did also have an idea, and everybody liked this idea, was that you can show him the Air Force and he can get education and learn to become an airline pilot that way. So there's different scenarios, but I think it was more of a follow through for him to show that follow through. Of the different things and show him what he's good at. Because if you look, he's good at math and geography, and those are two things you need with being an airline pilot. So maybe, okay, you're good at these. Let's see what else goes with that.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Right on. Thank you so much. Let's see. What did Jamal B? What did you all have? See, we have Jamal B, Angela, Irene, Jeff, and Sarah.
Yep. Yet again, I was voted the spokesperson. I tried not to be, but here we are. So,
Thank
yeah,
you, Sarah.
echo everything Jody said. Love the Air Force idea. We didn't think of that.
I didn't either.
Irene in our group had a good idea to like go to on like a site visit to a flight school and like maybe just try to like show him what it would be like. I think one of the major barriers to flight school is that it's really expensive. So we also kind of talked about like working from the ground up and kind of maybe getting a job as like an airplane mechanic because he already has some like mechanic experience, or like working for the airline, at the desk or something. Like he has a lot of strengths, which we called out as like he can budget. It seems like he can hold a job. He's young, he seems passionate. And like, yeah, college isn't for him, but that's okay because I don't think you need a college degree to be an airline pilot. So, as opposed to some of the other examples, I think this is actually one that could, again, it would take like a lot of time and dedication and money, but like he could realistically do this if he really put his mind and like money to it and maybe got some financial aid or stuff. So yeah, we talked about, Jeff brought up like maybe there's nonprofits that would fund this kind of thing for like low income people. Scholarships, exactly. So yeah, we talked about all that stuff, but overall like encouraging him and kind of like what other people said, like walking alongside him and like showing him like what it would take to make his dream a reality and then kind of just going from there.
Absolutely. I told you I like field trips. Thank you, everyone. That was really, really, Carlos, they're good. Oh, really good. All right. So thank you. That was, I took him to Long Beach Airport and he got to meet one of the pilots. The pilot let him go in there and check it all out. Field trips work really well with me, for some reason. I don't know. But yes, so we just worked on that. I didn't work with him long enough, but yes, I took him on a field trip and he got excited. It brought that passion about him. He starts talking to more people. It just brought life to him and he started to socialize. So when we're talking about psychiatric rehabilitation, we're talking about, remember, finding those strengths, those gifts, getting them to be passionate about life again. Okay. All right, Jody, do you mind? I know I see your hand up, but I also see the time and I need to go through the stages of change. If you don't mind putting your comment in the chat, that'd be awesome. So you need to know stages of change. Prochaska and De Clementi's stages of change. Let's see, it was like in the 70s, Prochaska and De Clementi, they came up with these stages of change for actually substance, like in recovery. Before it was actually first geared for that. And then they realized, oh, wow, we can use this for other things as well. I'm trying to get my, there we go, right at that. There we go. Sorry for the dead air. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. So can you see my screen? I'm going to call this Papa Bird one of my favorite Papa Bird. Six years with this man, right? We'd go everywhere together. And we use Popeye's chicken as an incentive for him to go to his doctor's appointments. Okay. We also did, okay, we're going to talk about budgeting. Someone brought this up earlier and I was like, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Okay. So, he was one of my favorite. Okay. All of them were my favorite, I think. Okay, stage 1. Okay, so contemplation, pre-contemplation. Okay, you're not yet acknowledging that there's a problem, right? A behavior that needs to be changed. And I love giving you this example because hopefully it'll stick. Okay, Papa Bird receives a monthly Social Security funds, right? Every month. By the second day, he has 0. Okay. So he was living in a wet, sober living. Anybody know what a wet, sober living is? That's those ones where it's a sober living, but if you go to the sidewalk, you could drink. All right. So one of those. So what he was doing, he was an older gentleman. If you saw, he had a walker and he was with all these younger men and he dealt with social isolation. So of course he had that natural support with the guys and he kind of felt like he was a role model because he was the older man, helping them out. What he was doing was giving them his EBT card with the pin to go to the liquor store to buy beer and a pack of cigarettes and hey, buy yourself a pack of beer. So they were ripping him off. Okay. Not only that, and he would always want to buy Popeye's chicken. So thoughtful. There was someone in a Burger King that was wearing a wedding dress. He gives her $100 because she said it was her wedding and that they were having, you know what I mean? Just things like that. And it's like, I can't tell him to not do that, but that's what he would do. So he doesn't realize it's a problem, but he's running out of money by the second day. Okay. So that's pre-contemplation. All right. Then there's the contemplation stage where they're like, maybe there is a problem here, right? So they start to seriously think about overcoming it, but they haven't made that commitment. So what do? I get him hooked up with the food bank with the Salvation Army, right? They gave him a nice box of food. He loved to cook. Oh my gosh, did he love to cook? And then Meals on Wheels, right? Next thing you know, he's like, I'm sick of this Meals on Wheels, blah, 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 blah. I'm sick of this food, blah, 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 blah. Right. So it was like, okay, man, okay, he's starting to feel it right now. He's starting to feel it. So then we have stage 3, the determination, where he's going to make a commitment. He's made a commitment. He's motivated for this. I've got to do something about this. He can't handle it anymore. So I was talking about Pink Floyd. At the Village, we have, monthly budget planners. Okay. And they would meet monthly to do a budget. So basically he was able to do that. And they put you on phases as well. So his Social Security would go to the Village, right? And he'd go and do a pickup every day, right? A certain amount every day, but he had to show receipts for everything. Okay. And then there was another stage. Once you do good with that, okay, you could do 3 pickups a day, but still bring in your receipts. You see, so the goal was to get them to be able to manage their money. Okay. So he started doing really well. I mean, he was really good. And next thing you know, he's starting to do it, right? He is actually doing it. He's saving money. We went to a Dodgers game. Oh my gosh, first time I went to see a Dodgers game. He used to be an old school baseball player back in the day. So I found one of his strengths that he loved, and it just made him super happy. Okay. So he started working out a plan. He started getting, his behavior was changing. He wasn't giving out his debit card. They're like, oh, dude, they were getting all upset looking for his debit card or his EBT card. Okay. So money management, we discussed a payee. He took responsibility, right? And decided to do this. Okay. That's the action stage. And then the maintenance stage, next thing you know, he's doing 2 pickups a week. Okay. When I met him, he had social isolation. He was living in this closet in a kitchen on a couch with no cushions and all bed bugs. It was really wild when I first met him. And we talk about meeting them where they're at and just loving on them no matter what. And I'm different. So I would meet him on a bus stop and he had he had bugs and stuff, but it was like, I just sat across from him and I talked to him. And, eventually we worked on hygiene. He winds up getting a place. He did really well. And his social isolation, all he'd do is walk down the street to go get his hurricanes, and go back and drink. Next thing you know, he's taking the bus to the wellness center and taking cooking classes, and I'd go with him and he'd grow up and next thing you know, he's, as the weeks go by, he starts engaging. Well, get this. Then he starts meeting those natural supports. Right next door, there was a church. And on Wednesdays is when he'd go to the cooking class. They were giving $10 for everybody who attended service. So booyah, he made some extra cash. All right. And then recurrent stage, also known as the relapse stage. And it happens. It happens. Okay. It's part of the stages of change. So this is when they slip back. He stopped collecting his receipts. He wasn't buying the things that was on his budget. Okay. So he wind up going back to doing 4 pickups a week, right? You see what I'm saying? So he had to go back to that stage and start over. So let me ask you this. Since he relapsed, does he have to start with stage 1 again on that stages of change? Nope. He would have to start where he left off. Where was it? You find where he is. You get to build that rapport. Most likely, he's going to go back to not the recurring stage, but the, what is it right here? The action stage right here. Action again, determination and action to get back on board. If that makes sense? Okay, so check it out. Usually you see the stages of change like this. Oh, one more. Booyah. this is how you're always going to see, like, usually they show you the stages of change, but I wanted to use Papa Bird, and I hope that example helped you with that to really let it stick. Is there's that unaware of the problem, you see it, boop, 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 he goes up, falls down. I'd have work with people, they get sober, and then they'd relapse or whatever it was, and they'd be crying, oh my God. I'm like, listen, 1 step forward, 2 step back, 1 step forward. You know what I mean? It happens. It's a part of it. And once you like, normalize that, we're human. It happens. So that was a really sweet treat. What does this all come down to? Anybody have any questions about the stages of change? We all good on that? Yeah. What does this all mean? It's how we treat people is everything. Do you remember me talking about what happens to the peer support specialists that go through this? I'm sorry, Michael, what do you mean? I mean, can you elaborate so I can answer the question?
Yeah, yes, I mean, there's had to have been a peer support specialist that has relapsed or gone through whatever they've gone through. So how does that affect them if that happens?
Oh, if the peer support specialist is not working on their own recovery, I say work with your team, baby. And we're going to get more into that self-care, self-awareness, because if you're taking care of yourself and you know what I mean, if you're self-aware, then you could do that self-care, right? So we got to be strong in our recovery so we could show them as well. But also if you do and you're straight up honest with them, they're seeing that you're for real too. If you want, it depends on that rapport that you have with them and how honest you are with your recovery, if that makes sense. Yeah. Does that help a little bit? And like I said, it depends, it really depends. And it's like we learn as we go until you're in that experience. Cool. Yeah. Okay. I hope you're satisfied with that. So with this, I told you he would lean against the wall, right? I'd find him out there and he'd always be falling, having falls at the hospital. And he's like, something's wrong with my, my nerves. Like, my balance is off. So I took him to a neurologist, we had to check it out for him. And he had that little head thing on and he was so happy. Again, we're working on his hygiene, working on those nails, go back to get a manicure. But we did checked him out. Nothing was wrong with him, right? So it's like, maybe the alcohol is a problem, right? Or not. But anyway, he wound up getting really sick and he just wasn't joking anymore. And I noticed something was just not right with Guy. And sure enough, I took him to his doctor and we found, again, he had cancer in his throat. And he wound up passing away. So right here, we did a celebration of life for him. And I would, as he was trying to almost transitioning, it was like, okay, if you had 2 songs you wanted played to celebrate your life, what would they be? And I tried to make it fun for him, And he said, 1, Barracuda by Heart, and 2, Welcome to My Nightmare, Alice Cooper, baby. So I did play those 2 songs when we did have a celebration with him. He had no family. But it's how we treat people is everything. And that it's just how we treat people. Claudia.
Sorry about that. How many hours did you spend with him in a day?
Oh man, it depended on what we did. Sometimes I could spend up to 4 hours. It would be at least 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. 4 hours at the most.
Yeah.
And I knew how to not, it depended on what we did, like one time, I'd always, because he was severely dependent on alcohol. So if I had to take him to appointments, we're going to talk about harm reduction later with Guyton. I'd have to have 2 hurricanes in my trunk in case, so he wouldn't have detox, delirium tremors. So he wouldn't die. So I basically had to have those in the car for him to be able to go places long enough. Does that make sense? So I did a lot of taking them to specialty doctors because, like I said, we were a hospice on wheels. So I was doing my nursing. I was doing street medicine. Okay. But man, it was awesome. That was the hardest thing when he was getting sick. And I noticed he was not doing well. And he's throwing up, trying to drink, throwing up, trying to drink. And he's like, am I dying? And I'm like, man, if you don't go to the hospital with me right now, and having that conversation with them. And he was okay with it. He's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good.
Did he have family?
No family. He had a picklehead in Seattle. That's all I could tell the coroner. Picklehead in Seattle. They didn't find any family members at all. So that this was a lot with them. But anyway, this is dedicated to Pink Floyd. He was my buddy. And with that, let's do a quick quiz, baby. I have a question for you all, though. Are you going to walk away tonight being able to see what Psych Rehab looks like in action? Did I make my goal? Maybe. I hope so. All right. Woo! Can we get, I think I might have a typo. Don't laugh. Okay. Who could be a reader for me? I'm getting a little parched right here. Dexter. Yes.
A consumer tells the peer support specialist they want to go back to work, but worried that they won't be able to handle the stress after not working for years. How would the peer support specialist respond in a strength-based way? A, the peer support specialist and consumer, the peer support specialist and consumer work together to brainstorm how to turn the big goal into the smaller goals. B, the peer support specialist tells the consumer that going back to work is not a big deal, but the peer support specialist can apply to, am I right? But the peer support specialist can apply to jobs on their behalf to make it easier. C, the peer support specialist explores with the consumer to focus on the gifts and strengths of the individual that would allow the consumer to see themselves at their best. D, the peer support specialist tells the consumer, it has been too long since you worked last, and they would not be able to do it. Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good, Dexter.
Oh, okay.
You're on mute, my friend Renee.
My apologies.
Thank you. All right. I see a lot of C's in the house. All right, here we go. C, recovery support. Provide consensual, individualized, ongoing guidance, coaching, and support to ensure self-determination for individuals. All right, we all got that. We all see how that happened right there. We talked about pulling their strengths, wanting them to feel good about themselves, right? Someone said A, right? We could see A, but what I want you to do is write this. Carlos, can you put this in the chat? And we're going to be taking off pretty soon.
Yep.
When you're going to be answering these questions, think of picks when you're answering them, okay? Picks, P, write this down, okay? This has helped everyone pass the exam so far. P, ask yourself, is it person-centered? I, is it inclusive? C, is it collaborative? And S, is it strengths-based? Okay, so when you're answering these questions, you can ask yourself and kind of see how many of those are fit with that, right? Because that's what it's about. All right. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I'm thrilled that you're here, and I can't wait to witness more magic unfold in this space. I'm all jacked up on coffee now.
Thank you for the great class.
I hope you all enjoyed it. And if I left you thinking, what the heck, let me know. Email me, call me. I want to help you out. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, we have our evaluations. Carlos did a role of advocacy, super great job. I did Psych Rehab, so there's 2 evaluations. And with that, I think we're good. And then later on, I'll go over the more, I like to put more quizzes in there and also show you that whole KSA thing. I'm going to show you how it all works out beautifully for you to be able to check it out. But those are how the exam questions are going to look. Any questions?
Renee, for tomorrow, anything that they need to be mindful of in preparation for facilitation?
Group facilitation. Just be prepared to facilitate some groups. That's pretty much it for, I don't think there's any assignment for tomorrow. But those of you that do have missing assignments for yesterday, I believe it was just a reading for welcoming and belonging, just some readings. Go in there and hit complete when you're done. I think that was about it, right, on that. Jody, Martin, and then Andra.
So my question is, when is it where you cross the line of being too close and personal versus being that peer support specialist?
Ooh, you know what? We're going to have professional ethics and boundaries with Guyton next week. And I'm going to let you sit with that for a little bit because we're going to blow your mind with it. You all are ahead of the game. We're going to get in a really great discussion. You all are going to love Guyton. Okay. Great question. All right, Martin, what do you got? I can't see you.
A quick question about the evaluations. Do we check out and then do evaluations, or
Carlos? I'm not
Do
quite
the
sure.
evaluations first and then check out. Just because it's a time marker in there.
or
Not the ideal.
Oh, you all are so wonderful.
Thank you for that.
All right, Andra. Hello.
I just want to remind everybody we have to do that self-literacy PACE assignment.
Look at this.
I think it's due tomorrow because I know
Correct.
sometimes I don't always check that. So.
We like to see your pictures in the portal so we can, that's what I like putting a face.
Thank you, Andra.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Angie, what's up?
I was just wondering, how do we find out who our student advisor is?
Ooh, okay. They should have sent you an email. If not, I believe you're with Helen.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know if it changed or not from the first time.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're with Helen. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So yeah, those of you that are on my student support list, I'll be reaching out. I want to check in with each of you to make sure we're good for the state, getting you ready for the state exam and all that good jazz. Loose.
Renee,
And if you got to
I'm gonna
go,
pause the recording here, Renee. It's okay.
yeah, please.